And we're back with WSJ Lunch Break. I'm Wendy Bounds. If the San Francisco 49ers win the Super Bowl, will they have former Intel chief Andy Grove to thank? Here to explain is WSJ sports reporter Kevin Clark. Hey there, Kevin.
Hi, Wendy. How are you?
I'm good. So how is Grove, I mean, this is a very unusual person to be thanking for perhaps a Super Bowl championship, but how is Grove's influence making its way into the 49ers locker room?
Well, basically, Jim Harbaugh is all into motivational tactics, and one of the big things he found a couple of years ago was this book called Only the Paranoid Survive. It's a book that Grove wrote in 1996 when basically he was at the top of the technology game. Intel was the number one chip maker in the world, and he wrote this philosophical book that basically said that you need to be on your toes. You need to tell everybody that things aren't going well, your employees, stuff like that, and basically be paranoid at all times. Harbaugh loved that, and players say he preaches it all the time. He says stay paranoid at practices and stuff like that. He tells team executives they need to read the book, and basically he coaches almost the way Andy Grove ran a business.
Let's talk about how this might play out with some of the lessons. I mean, one of the things Andy Grove talked about was that, companies don't die because of making mistakes. They die because they don't commit. Is this something that the coach has taken to heart?
Yeah, Coach Harbaugh is almost fanatical about sticking with the decision that he made. He, in the middle of the year, he dumped star quarterback Alex Smith in favor of Colin Kaepernick, who was an untested second-year pro, and really he never looked back. People questioned it. Some players this week kind of said it was a shock to everybody. We thought maybe he would waver, and Harbaugh never did. He just went full bore. He stuck with Kaepernick, never even questioned himself publicly or privately, he says. And so he kind of took that Grove style of I've made a decision. Grove pivoted in the 70s to microprocessors and never looked back. And so I think Harbaugh took a lot of the lessons from Grove as far as decision making, as far as decisiveness, and said, you know what, I'm going to apply this to football. And the quarterback change, obviously worked out because they're in the Super Bowl this Sunday.
What about in terms of being a cheerleader to the players? What did he learn about the do's and the don'ts of that from Grove?
Right. Well, the book is called Only the Paranoid Survive, and being paranoid, you're not exactly a rah-rah, everything is great kind of person. And so what Harbaugh basically does is he says everything is going terribly. If they've won 5 straight games in a row, he tells the players, things could be much worse. Everything is going terribly. This needs to improve, that needs to improve. And so basically players say that when things are going really well, he tells them that they could be going a lot better. And so he took that from Grove. Grove had a line in the story. He said, I'm good at destroying every party by saying that things, might get worse or the competitors are gaining or something like that. And so, Grove kind of initiated that sort of leadership style, and Harbaugh's taken to it.
And the irony is Grove isn't even much of a football fan, is he?
Grove did not know the San Francisco 49ers. Despite living in the Bay Area, he did not know they were in the Super Bowl until basically we called and told him that Harbaugh was a disciple of his. He didn't know anything about the sport. He says he can vaguely describe a touchdown. If you watch the Super Bowl, which I don't think he's going to, he would only be able to decide figure out what was happening by the noise of the crowd. And so really, he was blown away by the fact that a big-time football coach like Jim Harbaugh had taken to his leadership styles in his books, because really he didn't know anything about it.
Well, maybe if he'd known Beyonce was going to play at halftime, he would have paid attention a lot sooner. All right, Kevin Clark, thanks so much for being with us.